So, yeah, if, the influence the story.
What I meant was like the movies you did they start, of course, they influenced you, but that was the movie story is what I was talking about.
Okay.
Did they start changing the story you told yourself? That's what I meant was.
For me, when I make a movie, often, sometimes I make bad movies, sometimes I make good movies, but when I make a good movie, I have felt a moral contradiction that is very strong in myself. So if you saw Bandit Queen, you could obviously see the moral contradiction, what I was going through. In fact, you become the antagonist and the protagonist both, which means that you are the villain and the hero in that case. You become both. You inhabit both because you felt a moral contradiction so strongly that you try and scurry and then parasite into the minds of both. And so you felt a story evolve in you because of how you felt about that moral contradiction. And then you start expanding and creating characters. That's how it works. And does it change me? Yeah. Because you're exploring the story and you're making a film. Certainly when somebody asked me, how did Bandit Queen change you? I said, I am not burdened by being a Punjabi macho man anymore. I haven't. I was before that. What else? I grew up here in Delhi and I was told that I was, I had to be a man all the time. And then I went and explored the idea of rape and gang rape and what causes rape and why rape happens. And I came to the conclusion that rape actually is an act of humiliation. It's not an act of sexual attraction or sexuality at all. And then I had to ask myself, why do men want to humiliate women? And I just came back to the answer, to feel better about themselves. It's ultimately a lack of self-worth in the male that makes the male go out and want to rape a woman. And then when I realized that, I had to ask myself, how much self-worth do I have? And what's the difference between seduction and rape? And all my life I said, well, you're a man, you're supposed to make the first move. What's the difference between the first move and the forced move? How different is first move and forced move? I had to ask all those questions of myself. Otherwise, I could not have made that film. So obviously, in the exploration of my own story, all my stories got involved, and in the end, I came up a different person by understanding myself.
While in my process of talking to you, discussing things with you, I realized that you're just much more than an actor, a director. You are a preacher, you are a spiritualist. And when I started reading your tweets following you, you talk about the lessons of life. And there were some beautiful words which you've used. I would just like to sum all of them up together and ask you this question. It says that you talk about magical dimensions, mystical journeys, and shimmering shafts of light. How do you transcend these into your being?
Say those words again. Just say that again.
Magical dimensions, mystical journeys, and shimmering shafts of light.
Philosophical or surface?
This one not philosophical.
We live in what we call a world of reason. That's our century, it's a century of reason. And I don't believe that our existence is reasonable. I think our existence is completely unreasonable. And we don't delve down deep enough into ourselves to find the magical world. But the magical world is not all light. It's not all angels. Our magical world is full of demons. And because we don't want to deal with our demons, we go back scurrying into the world of reason. It's a protection. It's our escape mechanism. Because the moment I really truly, it's not the world of fairies, it's not Cinderella, it's not a Disney world down there. It's the real world, the real existence that we have is a constant battle between our own angels and our own demons. Right? And therefore, a lot of us come back to our reasonable world because we don't want to face our demons, we don't want to play, but I don't know why. But effectively you are doing it. When people fall in love and you sit silently, and I wrote that too, why don't you say anything? And I say, I am. She said, but you're so quiet. She said, and I said, but no, my angels and demons are playing with your angels and demons. That's what love is. It's a combination and a play and it's a dance between each other's angels and demons. One doesn't exist without the other. So the world of reason exists because we are afraid. We are afraid to go and delve into the world of non-reason. And we were not like that. You know, I grew up as in an Arya Samaji household. And so I was never taken to temples. Rituals were not part of ritual singing and bhajans were part of our growing up. But rituals, real deep rituals were not part. And I've only started to explore rituals now. And I'm finding that rituals are a way of getting into and playing with your demons and your dark side, which are essentially also part of you. Right? So then when I say magical, I mean unreasonable, the world that beyond, and that's where it all exists. And if you can play there, if you can find your demonic selves and accept your demonic selves, and accept that there is both light and dark down there. There's the angelic self and there's the demonic self. And if you can actually exist there, you'll find that that's where the universe talks to you. So on the reasonable world, you divide the world into structures and then you say, no, just is about noon. See? Right? How often you say, I can't handle all this. The fact is you don't have to. The fact is because you divide your life on a surface level in the reasonable world into so many little pigeonholes, and you look at all those pigeonholes and you realize, of course you can't handle all the pigeonholes at once. But there is a realm where you play with the universe, and the universe destructures your pigeonholes. And whatever you do actually changes everything, but then you have to accept the magical world. You have to accept the dark and the light that exists down there. And once you can play with that, then what you've heard so often when people say, let the universe come out and help you. Let the universe take charge. That's what they mean. Then the universe takes charge. Not at a very surface level, it doesn't. Does that make philosophical sense? Yes or no? Please tell me, otherwise I'm going deep into my magical world and that's all I'll talk about.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
On creativity, you turn childlike and simply say, I don't know. And yet, you say something as profound as, emptiness creates creativity. Shekhar ji, can you please teach us how to create creativity?
You said, what was the first thing?
You talk about that if asked...
Okay, childlike, that's really important. Children are born. When my daughter's called Nagari, when she was very young, I said, she used to talk about angels all the time. I said, see that the angels exist in real? She said, yes. And I said, but do angels exist just in your imagination? She said, yes. She made no difference between the imagination and the real world. They were the same to her. She hadn't been taught to believe in that duality. Krishna, who when he revealed his universal self said, are you ready? And revealed that the past, present, future, now, then, death, life, all of that exists in one eternal moment that is not even a moment. And said, could you comprehend that? The same Krishna who fell in love with Radha. How is that possible? It's possible because both exist together. And that's why children know that. They don't look for singular answers. our minds always look for singular answers. ये है कि नहीं है? Actually, है भी और नहीं भी है. And how do you handle that? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? या नहीं है या है, और मैं कह रहा हूँ है और नहीं है. It's both. It's that duality that we don't, our minds and our egos. Once again, back to the question of the ego. The ego asks for singularity. The ego asks for definitiveness. Yet, existence is indefinite. And children are not born with definitiveness. That's why the first lesson of being creative is to be childlike. Completely childlike. And you ask me how I can be so profound. It's because I did not think of the answer before I spoke it. Very often, right now, if you ask me, what did I say? I'll ask you, what did I say? Because you don't prejudge your answer. You've thought about it a lot. Of course you have. All of us think about our lives all the time, probably too much. Right? But that answer that comes should be coming out of not knowing. The words should come almost accidentally. That's why when people say, where does creativity come from? I'm saying creativity is a beautiful, beautiful, universal, godlike accident. It just happens because you didn't know. You just didn't know. And then that's the beauty of it. So that's what I mean by emptying. So Buddha talked about the zeroness, the emptiness.
The shunya.
The shunya. That's what he was talking about. He was saying, create an emptiness so everything comes in and it just happens accidentally at that moment. So be in that moment. You have to be in that moment. Then you're one with God, or universe, or forever, or infinity. The one way you will be is by being in that moment. If you're not in the moment, you'll be living the past. And the past is only a memory, a prejudiced memory. If you walk out right now, after I finish speaking, two of you will sit down and say, Shekhar ne ye kaha tha. Okay, nahi, ye kaha tha. Uska matlab ye tha. Nahi, uska matlab ye tha. When you are in love with somebody, whether it's your husband, your child, or anybody, that moment of love is so strong. And when that person passes away, where does moments of joy turn to moments of grief? How does that happen? Because memory changes everything. It's of prejudice. It's prejudiced by your present. So what happened yesterday, your memory and your understanding of yesterday is prejudiced what's happening now. So the past is a prejudice. The future is just a fear. Arey kal ye na ho jaye. Or it's a hope, so it's not happened. So the only thing is now. And we don't actually live in the now. And if you can't live in the now, then a lot of what I'm saying is going to make more sense. That's what all meditation is about. It's just being in the now.
This one's to Shekhar Kapur, the radical thinker. I was just reading through your ideations and you said that have you ever wondered men could also take on their wives' names? You are addressing an all-women's platform. What were you thinking of when you thought of this? That men could also take on their wives' names?
Well, I just read that George Clooney got married to somebody called, what's her name? Amaluddin. What's her full name? Amaluddin. And I thought, what's a better name? Clooney or Amaluddin? I said, how nice that George Clooney now became George Amaluddin. So, and then